Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this study today as we continue in the book of First Samuel, and we are in the 19th chapter, picking up again on this just fascinating situation with David and King Saul. Um, to recap quickly, of course, David had killed Goliath, gained favor with the people. Saul is falling out of favor with the people, and he has fallen out of favor with God. And the marriage of David and Saul's daughter Michal took place during our last episode, and now we pick up to see just how things are going. We know that previously things were very touchy and very fluid in that things changed very often, and we're going to see this as chapter 19 starts out. And what I want to point out is this first word, Vidaber. Again, we'll see this is in a PL form, which uh, many would say denotes an intensity of the word, or otherwise we look at it, they are words from the heart. They are words that are spoken that have a great passion and great meaning behind them. And what's happening here is Saul calls Jonathan, his son, and all the servants, and David is now out of favor with Saul, and he wants to kill him. Again, it gives us insight into the mental mind and just the personality of King Saul, and what it must have been like to be in his court, serving him and seeing him as a leader of your country, and seeing that he's just going into decay and just a spiral of irrational decisions. And again, it doesn't take much to think about what's going on in our modern world today and see some uh, many questions that come to our mind about leadership of people in countries. And so he's saying that they should kill David, and Jonathan, of course, delighted in David. And this word hafetz, we want to look at here. It's just kind of a beautiful word, hafetz, to delight in. It's to be mindful, attentive to, try to protect, to have all kinds of emotions, even zealousness and even anger and enragement. Again, the emotions are all very closely tied together. Even love and hate are very tied together. How many things have been done in a harmful way because of love and those deep passions that were put in wrong directions and brought out in different ways. And so we see, that Jonathan delighted in David. They were very close to each other, and it uses the word meod, which is greatly or much or very. It can be sometimes translated as. And so, Jonathan's intervening here. He is the go-between and takes this information from the king's court, and obviously David wasn't invited, so he's seeking after David. And here the word for seek, which is me Kash, is also in a PL form. Okay, there's a lot of emotion going on here that we can pick up as we can read into this. And he comes to David and said, Saul, my father wants to kill you, therefore be on your guard and kind of hide out until morning. And there's interesting words here. It uses the word uh, vasetter, which is a hiding place. It's a secret place. So you find this secret place and hide there. And Casseter, but setter is a covering, a hiding place in secrecy, sometimes even used for being in the presence of God in a very sacred place. And so he tells him to go and hide there, and I'll go talk to my father, take my father out in the field, verse 3, and try to get him away from all his advisors and find out what he's really thinking. You know, he obviously Jonathan had a close relationship with his father that was now becoming strained, thought he could get his father aside and learn a little bit about what was really going on in the mind of this man. It must have been hard for him to watch his dad um, disintegrate basically here before him, who once he was proud of, and it was a king and had a relationship with God, and now to watch him fall away and become distant from him, and Jonathan having to separate himself from his dad must have been very hard. So here, verse 4, Jonathan goes into a let's build up David speech here, talks to his dad, tells him, you know, don't do this sin. Look how good David has been to you. David's never done anything against you, and just, you know, is playing up everything. Um, you know, and rightfully so, all the good attributes of David, how he took his life in his hands and killed the Philistines, and God used him to bring a great deliverance. And all the people rejoiced when they saw this. And why do you want to kill him now? And of course, this had an effect on Saul. And again, shows the mindset of Saul, shows the mentality of Saul. And verse 6 says that Vayishma Shaul Bechol Yonatan. And then it uses a neat word, Vayishava, and it is the word for swear. And this whole concept of making an oath and swearing, you see quite often in the scriptures. You'll find it again mentioned in the New Testament, on how it's something you should be very careful of, and to not do it unless absolutely necessary. But what's interesting here is this word. If you break it down, it comes from the root word of sheva, which is the word for seven. And to swear in the base meaning of it from the Hebrew Bible would be to say something seven times. And here we see in the Brown Driver Briggs commentary, it talks about to seven oneself or bind oneself by seven things. It was to, again, we don't quite understand all of it. We know that the word number seven is very sacred in the scriptures, but here it's obviously implying a very intense promise, a very intense oath, whereby you'd promise something seven times, which was supposed to make it completely binding. Again, the word seven, number seven in the scriptures, is God's perfect number. But again, we even find out today that they say you have to repeat something seven times to make it a habit. And there's even books written out there about, you know, 7 habits of highly effective persons. So there's things about this word seven that were known about even back in biblical times, that when you say something seven times, it made a bond that was supposedly unbreakable. And so what we're going to see here is the life of a man who's very irrational, who was going to first kill David, and now swears seven times, make a bond of seven times, that he's not going to kill him. He's even invoking the name, sacred name of God, of the Yud-He-Vav-He, commonly pronounced as Yahweh, that he should not be killed. Again, here's a military leader, here's a government leader, a man in power making a promise. And we'll let you think about whether he keeps this or not, and whether oaths mean anything in this man's life because of the mental state he was in. And so we'll come back next week and see if this oath holds, see if things all get better, and David's life gets better because Saul has made this promise. And whether he keeps it or whether he goes against it. So God bless you. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye bye.